I won't be saying what was put in our group. Okay, yeah, first off, I was so angry. So angry.
To me, it just screamed panic.
I thought I was in a fever dream. I was in a blender. I couldn't gather myself.
The fact that he had a fitness test in the morning and he said, I can play, fine, you can go out and play. For me, that decision has to be on Maresca.
If you're looking at the teams that are challenging for the league, Arsenal signed two 27-year-olds. They have no resale value. They have no sell-on value. They're not going to sell Gyökeres or Eze for any money at all. They're just trying to win the league. We are not at the moment.
Congratulations to Hannah Hampton, who won the best goalkeeper at the Ballon d'Or.
What's she doing Saturday?
Yeah. Welcome to Inside Chelsea, the show for Chelsea fans by Chelsea fans. This show is brought to you by talkSPORT Bet. I'm Olivia Buzaglo and I'm joined today by former Chelsea defender Jason Cundy and broadcaster and lifelong Chelsea fan Kweku Afari. 2 games since we last appeared on Inside Chelsea. And that was Manchester United at Old Trafford, which we will sadly have to get into a little bit later on in the show. But we are recording just after we have beaten Lincoln in the League Cup. Just, I should say, beaten Lincoln 2-1. Jace, just first of all, please try and sum up for me that first half of football that every Chelsea fan watched last night.
Well, I won't be saying what was put in our group. Okay, because that's.
I think you'd be banned for life.
Yeah, but look, I was unexpressing, and we all were actually exactly how every Chelsea fan felt, and actually how probably Maresca felt. Look, I remember playing against Wimbledon back in the early '90s, right? And you knew what you were going to come up against, and they put balls in the box. They had a style of playing, and you can, as they proved in the EFL Cup final, you can overcome a more talented and better team, as in Liverpool at that particular time. And when I looked at our front four, I looked at Tariq George up there, who's not particularly big physically. Neither's Garnacho, neither's Buonanotte, and it was on Gittins, right? So you look at that front four, we couldn't get the ball up to them. Defensively, we were under all sorts of pressure. Defensively, we looked a mess. Balls being bobbling around and their goalkeeper coming out and punching things he's missing. We just did not deal with it at all. And it was a little bit like, I felt, that, you know, like an 18-year-old going into the pub for the first time, and there's a 35-year-old in there getting to the bar first. Do you know what I mean, though? Out my way. We looked inexperienced, we didn't know how to deal with it. It was almost like a different sport. Now, I'm not making excuses here because we were miles off it. But we like playing the ball on the ground, right? They didn't let us do that, right? Credit to Lincoln, by the way, because I'm not being a snob, Liv, because there's no wrong way to play football. We just did not deal with it. And that Tariq George goal, that's the moment that changed the game. Because you could feel them, we've worked so hard and we've done so well, and now it's only 1-1.
Yeah.
So, yeah, first half, I was so angry. So angry. And second half, the quality actually did show in the end.
They hit the post after like 30 seconds, didn't they? So the warning signs were there, Kweku, but it was almost like it felt like we weren't prepared. Like Jason said, when you're playing against a League One team, you know exactly how they are going to play because you know the levels in talent on the pitch are so far apart. But like Jay said, you don't have to be the best team on the pitch to win the game sometimes. Talent only takes you as far. It just looked like that first game. We just weren't prepared for what they were so obviously going to do, especially in that first 20 minutes. Yeah,
well, we started so poorly, and I was watching the game. It was a sluggish start. We're getting peppered by a team wearing black or red and white stripes that are giving us long throws. And I was like, are we playing against Brentford again? I had to rub my eyes, and I realised it was League One Lincoln. It was, honestly, like Jay said, I was so angry. And I don't know why that feeling mustered up inside of me, but it was just anger watching that. And I understand we rotated the team heavily, right? And we're playing players that aren't used to playing for Chelsea. But let's not be disrespectful to the opposition. Lincoln did play really well, but honestly, we are world champions. I know that people want to mock us for saying it, but we're a team that have played against the best teams in the world and come out on top. And so for us to start like that was not good enough. It just wasn't. And you can tell Maresca agreed with that sentiment because he read them the right act at half-time and
they came out early as well.
I
think also as well, when you make... This is not making excuses, by the way, but it is a factor. When you make so many changes and you're playing players that haven't had that many minutes already this season and you're throwing together that team, I mean, when you go for it, what is that team? I mean, it is literally a Carabao Cup team. That's exactly what it was. Yeah. But to go away from Lincoln, a side they didn't know what they were going to do, there was always a risk element. There's always that little risk. You get the selections wrong and they get caught out a little bit, the lads. But like I said, it was almost like a different sport we're playing.
But I do expect more, right? We've spent a lot of money, which has been overstated, and I don't want to go into that. But I think Chelsea's second team should go into that game and handle business. And I think it was the approach more than anything. You can ring changes, but if your mentality is wrong going into those games, you can get caught out. And we were caught out in the first half, and it was looking like it was going to be the culmination of a very, very poor week and a half for Chelsea. But luckily, in the second half, made changes. There was a change in mentality. They started quickly, got the 2 goals, and we kind of was in control of the game from there. But that first half was one of the poorest halves of football I've seen from Chelsea in a long, long time.
Just one other thing on that. The fact that we'd played so many minutes in that game and that Enzo plays a little floaty ball across the edge of our box, right? Playing balls across the face of your box is always a risky ball anyway. You zip it in. But I think there was a little bit of naivety. You've been in this game 20 minutes. You know what they're going to do? Yeah. Don't play little floaty balls. Zip the ball in. And the goal really kind of summed up our first half.
I would have absolutely loved to have seen Enzo Maresca's half-time team talk. I would have loved to just been a fly on the wall because it does feel like, you know, they were out early. I would have loved to know what he actually had to say and how much he did actually hammer them at half-time. Jace mentioned Enzo there.
Yeah.
When you're playing a bunch of, you know, a lot of them are kids, right? And Enzo Fernandez technically is still very young himself, but given, you know, he's vice-captain, he does captain Chelsea a fair bit. He's probably the most experienced out of the players on the pitch.
World Cup winner. Felt like he was the one that needed to lead that team yesterday. Yeah, I was disappointed with his performance. I don't think Enzo's been at the races this season, really. I know in the game against Fulham, he got a goal and assist, but the goal came from a penalty and the assist came from a corner. But he's not been the same Enzo Fernandez that we saw at the Club World Cup or the back end of last season. Yeah. And we expect more, right? When you're dropped into or you're starting in a game where there is inexperience around you, you need to show yourself as a leader. And I think we've had the same conversation on this show for the last year. The lack of leaders in our team. And Enzo Fernandez is supposed to be that. And his first half performance didn't represent that. It wasn't that of a leader. And the pass he plays across the Trevor Chalobah, it's a hospital pass, really. Doesn't give him any chance at all. He'll know that, and he'll know that he has to improve. But I want to see more from Enzo Fernandez. I don't want to talk about the price tag. It is what it is. I think he's justified it in his performances over the last year or so. But this start of the season has not been great. And I don't think, if our midfield is going to contain Enzo Fernandez, and he is going to start for Chelsea, we need to see a lot more from him, and we didn't see enough last night or at the beginning of the season.
Andre Santos obviously started. He had 90% pass accuracy, 46 passes completed, 6 into the final third. Is he making a case now to start, Jace, alongside Moises Caicedo? And the fact that Cole's injured, it probably might mean that we see Enzo Fernandez in the 10 or maybe someone else in the 10, I don't know. But surely now Enzo Maresca is looking at that midfield going, Andre Santos has
done very well, actually, in the moments that he's come on. The fact that Cole Palmer's now missing, I think you're right, Liv. I think we might see Enzo into that number 10 position. Then that accommodates, because it's very hard, I think, right now, even though some fans might feel that Enzo needs to come out of the team, the problem you've got is he's vice-captain, OK, is the price tag. He is one of the most experienced players you've highlighted. So I think it naturally feels against Brighton, you'll see him as a 10, Santos alongside Moises.
Options in the number 10. We've got a few now, Jace. With Cole Palmer out injured, we don't know for how long. So Enzo is an option. Esteval is an option. Facundo Buonanotte is an option. This is to both of you. Who would you be playing in that number 10 role going forward?
Well, if you're after creativity and guile, and someone like Cole Palmer,
which is what you want from your number 10.
Esteval ticks a lot of those boxes. And I remember speaking to Tim Vickery when he signed originally for us. One of the reasons he signed for Chelsea was that it was promised that he can play or would be looking to play in that number 10 position, which he believes is his favourite position. When Cole went off and went West Ham in the warm-up, he came in and he went on the right-hand side because we had Neto in behind Delap, right? And then, of course, there was an option to put him in when he came off Delap, when he picked up that injury. He hasn't really featured in there. He drifts in and finds himself in there. I think what Maresca, because he's a bit of a creature of habit, I think we will see Enzo playing in there. But you're right, we do have more options. And last season, when Cole wasn't there, we really lacked bodies in there. You're right, we have got a couple more now. When Delap's fit, you can put João Pedro in there, you can put Esteval in there, Buonanotte in there, and then you've got Cole. So we have options in there. I think he'll go back to putting Enzo in there against Brighton. That's what I think he'll probably do.
Yeah, I think the fantasist in me would put Esteval in there, but there's a reason why you don't see many 18-year-olds playing number 10. It's one of the most important positions in the team, and we all would love to see him in there. We've all seen how electric he's been for Chelsea, but realistically, is Enzo Maresca going to do that? I don't think so. He's still a young player. We want to see him develop, and normally you see young players, especially ones who end up playing as number 10, starting out wide, and it's a little bit easier. We saw him against West Ham. He absolutely ripped them apart when he played against their fullback. So I think I would love to see Esteval in there, but I agree, Jason's probably going to be Enzo. Or you find an alternative option for your striker. Because really and truly, I love João Pedro, and I think he's had an electric start to his Chelsea career, not just in the Club World Cup, but at the beginning of this season, but he is not a striker. You see the positions that he wants to take on the pitch, he's always dropping deep. So we effectively are not playing with a striker in our starting 11 with the lap being out. I would ideally like to see João Pedro in there.
In the 10?
In the 10, and you find an option up top, whether you play Pedro Neto up top, or whether you play Tariq George or you play Mark Guéhi, because I think we lose so much. I think we lose so much from not having a striker on the pitch. And as much we can say he's the number 9 on the team sheet, he doesn't play as a number 9. So we're going into games with João Pedro as a number 9 without a striker.
But what you said Esteval, is young, and there's not not many 18-year-olds that play number 10. But why not? Why are we not playing Esteval in the number 10? Is it the reason that he's just young? Like, why? If he's good enough, play him.
Yeah.
I think maybe the physical side of the game as well, because we have played against a lot of teams that have played 5 at the back this season. We played against Brentford, played against first game of the season Crystal Palace, West Ham. There's a lot. It's quite congested and physical.
But he's like a tricky little I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I never do that again.
He's got that, that lovely little balance. The way that he plays.
Please cut that out, by the way.
He's got that lovely balance, hasn't he? But
He does.
But sometimes players can arrive in there. Don't forget Cole Palmer, when he first came, I remember we played Fulham away. Cole played on the right, but kept drifting inside. So it's about, not sometimes where you start, but where you end up. And I think he will go with Enzo.
I think the big issue we've got is, of course, the attacking line. We've talked about it because of the injuries to Cole Palmer now and to Liam Delap. That's an issue. My problem is how we're building up. And we saw it in the Brentford game and you saw it in the Lincoln game. Opposition, when they are playing 3 at the back and they are playing the low block, they will stick their number 9 on our deepest line midfielder. Yeah. So we saw Igor Thiago against Brentford. He just stayed on Moises Caicedo. That means when the centre-backs have got the ball, they've not really got options, or the option that they have got to pass into midfield is being pressed, and we're struggling to build. And we saw that against Lincoln, where they started that massive lump, Freddie Draper, on Andre Santos. And Andre Santos did really well, but again, doesn't have too much time, and we're struggling to build out from the back. So I think we need to find a solution to that. We need to find a solution to when we play against these teams that don't want to come and play football against us, how we can mitigate
There's a lot. There's a lot in the league.
There's a lot.
Well, if you actually think about the teams in the Premier League, probably 85% of them are going to come, especially to Stamford Bridge, and are going to sit back. And we found a way against West Ham, and I don't know if that's just because West Ham were just really, really bad in that game, but I think so. I think that was probably the case. But we do need to find solutions. In that, I suppose we need to find a lot of solutions right now. Just quite a quick mention, though, because we haven't actually mentioned him. You sort of briefly mentioned him earlier, Tariq George, because without that goal, Jace, I actually think Chelsea really, really struggled getting back into that game, because we weren't creating anything. I can't even remember a save that the keeper had to make in that first half, and it was a beautiful, beautiful finish.
So, mate, I mean, it's a truism in football, it's a cliche, but it's used all the time. Goals change games. And that's one of those goals that completely changed the complexity. Yeah. I changed the way I felt about it, the players would, the crowd, the opposition, and that strike it's a wonder strike. And a lot of people are talking about, I mean, Tariq George actually nearly left on deadline day. He was very close to leaving. And now Guéhi's come back. That's another. We'll maybe talk about Guéhi, what he's feeling right now, because believe it or not, he was allowed to play last night.
How did the club not know that?
I don't know.
Did the club get into a position? I know there's a rule change.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Surely the club should know about these rule changes. He was left out of the squad because we thought he couldn't play. And to be honest, that's the perfect game for him. It's a perfect game for someone like him.
Yeah, it is.
The whole thing is just...
I actually feel a little bit sorry for him, because he's come back, and I don't know how many chances or opportunities he's going to get to lead the line? Because we were talking about what options. We were talking about maybe put Tyreek George there, maybe put Pedro there.
If you're going to bring Tyreek George off the bench against Manchester United and Hughes come, if that tells you all you need to know, well, where is that opportunity going to come? It's going to be tough to find,
Was he on the bench? Was he on the bench against United?
On the bench against United.
Which is weird, because I actually like, when I look at the way that Tyreek George and Mark Guéhi play football, I think if you're going to have João Pedro dropping deeper, I want someone that's going to run in behind. That creates space. You don't need another player that doesn't know how to play a number 9. And to me, I know he's young and I know he's very young and very inexperienced, but I'd rather just stick Mark Guéhi up there. But Enzo Maresca just doesn't fancy.
Well, Enzo Maresca said in one of his interviews or press conferences that he's still got a lot to learn, and it was pretty pointed. You know, when a manager's making a point and sending a message to a player, he goes, there's still a lot that he needs to work on. And so I think it's going to be a little while till we see him. But before he got injured last season, he was actually looking okay.
Yeah, the timing was terrible. Him and Jackson got in. So Jackson was out and he picked up an injury in the same game?
Yeah, it was the same period of time.
Same period of time, right?
Yeah. And it was unfortunate, but we've got issues all over the pitch. Got issues all over the pitch, and unfortunately, games are coming thick and fast, right? It feels like the next international break's only around the corner, but we've got 3 more games before that. Yeah. And so we need to figure it out very, very quickly.
Yeah, we do. Right, I mean, that brings us on nicely to the Manchester United game. But just first of all, this show is brought to you by our partners, talkSPORT Bet. New customers get an exclusive offer of £40 in free bets when you bet £10. Go to talksportbet.com/Inside Chelsea to claim this offer. Now, well, this is going to be our favourite part of the show. We are very much looking forward to talking about the absolute shambles that was Old Trafford last Saturday. When I first saw the lineup, I got really excited. I was looking at that going, this has got Club World Cup final written all over it. Same team.
It was amazing. Honestly, when the team sheet came out, I was like, wow. Like, apart from Levi Colwill, this might be our best 11. Had everybody in it. Had Reece James in it. Had Cucurella. Like, I was so excited. Had Esteval, Cole Palmer. Honestly, I don't think I've seen a 20 minutes like it. I thought I was in a fever dream. I was in a blender. I couldn't gather myself. I was watching it with producer Jamie, and I couldn't believe what was happening. First of all, the Roberts had the red card. Think, okay, fair enough. It's Man United, though, still got a chance. And then the substitutions happen, and then they score, and they score again, and then Cole Palmer comes off, walking down the tunnel at Old Trafford. I'm like, is this a protest? Honestly,
is this a protest?
I couldn't believe what was going on. And I've said it. I'm 32 years old. I feel like I'm an old man right now. The last time we beat Man United at Old Trafford, I was a teenager. That is a long,
Sir Alex was manager.
And they'd already won the league.
One Mata scored for us before he went to Manchester United. It was a lifetime ago. And think about how bad Man United have been. And think about what we've done in that period. I think won a couple of league titles, won a European Cup, and we still can't beat Man United at Old Trafford. A joke. An absolute joke. That was honestly one of my least enjoyable experiences watching Chelsea in a long time.
Do you know what's funny is that, like, when you look at Chelsea's away record in the early 2000s up until 2013, which was the last time we won there, I think we had the best team, and that's a good Man United team that were winning Champions Leagues, winning Premier Leagues, had Fergie as their manager. We had one of the best away records against Man United. Yeah. And now we can't, I don't know what happens, but every single game I go into this United game, we sat here on Inside Chelsea going, is this going to be the... But, I don't actually believe it's going to, because how we are for Spurs, in terms of how good Spurs are, doesn't matter. How bad we are, doesn't matter. We'll always beat them. Yeah. Same with Spurs and City. No matter how good City are, Spurs will always beat them. Yeah. It's the same with us and Man United. For whatever reason, I mean, obviously the red card after 4 minutes didn't help. Yeah. But the game is not over after 4 minutes. 0-0 after 4 minutes, down to 10 men, yes, the odds are against you, it's going to be tough. But we did not help ourselves, Jace. No,
and even before the red card, Man United all over us.
Started well,
They started well on the front foot, we couldn't get the ball, couldn't get out the pitch. Not dissimilar, actually, to the way we started against Lincoln. Very, very similar vibes. When the red card comes along, it's a disaster. What was a very difficult scenario in the opening 5 minutes gets even worse by the sending off. Then you've got to make subs. You're duty bound. You've got to make a sub. You've got to make that decision. You've got to make a snap decision and do it quickly and get it right. And the fact that he brought Esteval off, at the time, I kind of could see it. I think, fair enough, you've got your youngest player there. Yeah. You need your more experienced players on. Isn't used to the Premier League, isn't you? I understood that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Didn't get the Neto one. Didn't get the Neto one at all. I can't quite. And then that was to go to a back five. Now, when you go to a back five, you actually give up the midfield. And he said the reason they went to a back five because they attacked with five. Me personally, then you're changing the shape of the team. So your goalkeeper's gone. You've now changed the shape of the team, and you're down to 10 men. You know, this is a terrible, terrible scenario. Can we weather the storm? And we didn't. I think it would have been better to stay at 4-4-1. I'd have stayed the same shape. Players used to it. You can't have the inverted fullback. That's fine. You can't. You know, there might be occasions, but to bring off Neto, Neto has shown over the years he is an outball. And I felt for Pedro. I think Pedro actually done all right, but considering...
João Pedro.
João Pedro.
Oh, I thought it was brilliant.
I thought he'd done all right considering what he was up against. And then, of course, you find out that Cole Palmer's got a niggle, got a bit of a groin on him, and we don't know how bad that's going to be, fingers crossed. Knowing what we know now, I think Maresca would have been better off taking Cole off first, keeping on Esteval, keeping Pedro Neto, keeping to a 4. I wouldn't have changed much. You coached all week for that 4. Don't go to a 5 and then bring on the 5. I think handed that initiative that they'd already had, even gave them more cards to play with.
To me, it just screamed panic, Kweku. Going down to 10 men so early on in the game, it was almost like Jay says, he says, they attacked with 5, we needed to defend with 5. We support a team that went to the Nou Camp against the best side that I believe has ever played club football. Guardiola's Barcelona team, to me, is the best ever. And around that time as well, 2012, they were ridiculous. And we defended with our lives. We lost our captain. John Terry got sent off. It's proof that it can be done. I know we had Drogba. I know we had Lampard. So we had experience. We had experience all over the pitch in that game. But it can be done. And to me, I mean, like Jay says, that Pedro Neto substitution for me is the one I just still even now, after hearing his post-match comments, I cannot get my head around.
It was so bizarre. It was so bizarre. And of course, we sit here with the benefit of hindsight, right? And I agree with Jace. If I was going into that game and I knew that Cole Palmer was carrying a niggle, I would have taken Cole off first rather than taking Esteval off. You take Esteval, you take Esteval off, you take Pedro Neto off, and you take Cole Palmer off within the first 20 minutes, got no chance of winning the game. And then what really, really slaps you in the face is that Man United do what Man United do and try and give us the game. And Casemiro gets sent off. But you've already made substitutions. You can't get back into the game by making any changes. All your best attacking players are off the pitch, barring João Pedro. And so it makes it impossible for yourself. And I think if you look back on it, he could do it again. He would do it again. I think
so. He's come out and he's explained his thought process behind that. But I think now, if you were getting privately, I think Enzo Maresca would probably have done things a bit differently.
Do you think it was panic, Jace? Do you think it was maybe a lack of experience as a manager?
I think another thing we've really got to remember here: we're a young team with a young manager.
Yeah.
This is only his second full season, I believe. I know he had a couple of stints over in Italy, but
Leicester was one. Yeah. So he's coming into start. Yeah.
Second full season, and he's now got a lot more to deal with. He's got the Champions League. The squad, the team that he picked away at Brentford, did something similar last season before we played in the quarterfinals of the Conference League. And he kind of got that, could have done things differently there. Yeah. I think we've got to remember, he's an experienced manager as well. And there will be moments that he does make mistakes. How damaging those mistakes are have got to be limited, of course. But there's been some really good parts, really good parts. Yeah. But I think there was probably an element of, and when a goalkeeper gets sent off, Liv, you can't, when an outfield player gets sent off, you have time to reflect. You've got 5 minutes to think about what can I do. When a goalkeeper gets sent off, you have to sub an outfield player off.
Yeah.
That has to happen.
Yeah.
And I think probably, looking back, I think he'd have done some things differently.
Yeah, I agree. The inexperience showed itself there, and he would change that if he could go back and change it. But that just speaks to the inexperience in the squad in general, right? And this whole week has illustrated that. If you've got an experienced centre-back, we don't concede that last-minute goal against Brentford. We just don't. No team worth its salt takes the lead after being behind and it's up 2-1 and then concedes another goal. If Liverpool were in that position, they see it out. Because you've already done the hard work. Fair enough. Bayern Munich is different. It's a level above. But I do think the time of us conceding the goals, the nature of the goals we conceded, maybe a more experienced player snuffs those out or make sure they manage the game a little bit better. Against Manchester United, and you illustrated it, Liv, with the comparison to the Barcelona game. The reason why we got through that was the experience of our players who managed to navigate that situation and making sure we stayed in that game until half-time when Ramirez got the goal.
Because we had an inexperienced manager. Remember, we had Roberto Di Matteo, who wasn't used to managing in the Champions League.
Yeah, and then you look at the game against against Lincoln, and I think if you've got a voice in the dressing room who's telling you, lads, not to diminish Lincoln, but it's Lincoln. We need to switch on and fix up. But we haven't got that. And I think the inexperience of the squad is starting to show. And also, as Chelsea fans, maybe we need to sit back and almost take stock. I think we're not used to losing because we went on such a great run. And the only 2 games we had lost up until this week was against Flamengo in the Club World Cup, against Newcastle in the Premier League at the back end of last season. Both games, Nicholas Jackson got a red card. Yeah. But we were on a tremendous run. And so I think for us as Chelsea fans, this feeling is a little bit abnormal recently. And so we have to maybe get used to the fact there's going to be growing pains. There's going to be issues with this team because it is so young. But hopefully Enzo Maresca and this group of players can figure out a way to get out of it because the games are coming thick and fast.
Yeah, and we've obviously got some big games. We've got bloody Jose Mourinho at Stamford Bridge. We know what's going to happen there, don't we? Just quickly, before we move on to what Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville have been saying, they spoke after that game against Manchester United. But just quickly, just one little thing on Cole Palmer. Whose fault is that he wasn't taken off initially when Maresca knew he had a knock, but obviously Cole Palmer said he could start. So if he said he could start, why would he take Cole Palmer off after 5 minutes and we go down to 10 men? Is it up to Palmer to say, listen, I can't do this after 20 minutes, that's why Maresca takes him off? Or should it be up to the manager and go, I know he's got a bit of a knock, we're going to be chasing the ball around for a lot of this game, take him off at 4 minutes?
So there aren't many games that footballers go out and don't have some sort of niggle. You might have had a whack the week before. You might have some stitches. You might have had a little bit of a tight hamstring. You don't go out... I don't remember going out being 100% fully fit. You're always carrying a something. The fact that he had a fitness test in the morning and he said, I can play, fine, you can go out and play. For me, that decision has to be on Maresca. He knows he's got a bit of a groin. And I think because of the conditions, because you are now going to do another 10% more running, because you've got to, because we're down to 10 men, I think that the right call at that particular time would have been, you've got a groin, you've got a niggle, I need to take someone off. The option would, for me at that time, knowing what I know now, I'd have taken Cole Palmer off at that there and then.
Yeah.
And I think that the Maresca's got to, he answered the question. The fact that he took him off 10 minutes later or 15 minutes later tells me that he got that wrong the first time. Yeah. That's what it tells me.
Okay.
I think Cole Palmer starting that game was as a result of the week that we had before. Because I think if we beat Brentford and we get a draw against Bayern Munich, I don't think he takes the risk. But I think he thinks we've gone 2 games without a win. This is a Man United team that Cole Palmer loves playing against. We all remember that hat-trick. He's a man, he grew up a Man United fan, allegedly. And so I think that Cole Palmer pushed it and Maresca acquiesced. I don't think a player with less cachet than Cole Palmer makes that decision. I think Enzo Maresca makes that decision for him. But it's Cole Palmer. He's one of the best players in the world. We're going to talk about the Ballon d'Or list in a little bit. But I think it's a bit of both. Cole Palmer saying that I can play, and Enzo Maresca acquiescing to his best player and saying, yeah, you can play, and I also need you to play because when you don't play, we struggle. So a bit of both. I'm not going to put that on the door of Maresca, but what I will put on the door of Maresca is the substitutions. They just weren't good enough, and I think he should have done a different thing. But again, this is the benefit of hindsight right now.
Right, we're going to get on to the goalkeeper and the defence in just a second because Jamie Carragher has been speaking about them. But just want to just talk about what Gary Neville said initially about João Pedro and Liam Delap. This was after the Man United game. And he said, Delap and Pedro are nothing like Haaland, Isak or even Ekitike. Initially, right, just initially, what are your general thoughts on that comment? That I don't think you can compare anyone to Erling Haaland. I don't think he's a robot. He's so far out in front in terms of just a goal-scoring machine. Hugo Ekitike and João Pedro, I suppose, are the probably natural comparison, Jace. Liam Delap's a 20-year-old kid that's now got a hamstring injury, who's out for 8 weeks, so you can't really talk about him. Where do you see this comparison? Do you think João Pedro is close to Hugo Ekitike? Do you think they are the same level, albeit very, very different players?
Look, when you talk about the age profile of Delap and Pedro, OK, Haaland, you made the point there, that is one of the... I mean, he's just a machine.
Yeah.
Right? Isak has proved over the last couple of years what a brilliant striker he is. He's season ready. He is... You're buying off the shelf, you know what you've got. You still don't quite know what you're going to get from Delap. So he's still a young boy, he fits that age profile. I think it's very unfair to compare them, but I understand why they said what they said, because we've spent a lot of money, and we are now a Delap injury away now from having to play Pedro, who can play up top. He is not, for me, a natural number nine.
Yeah.
He's not a Haaland, he's not an Isak, he's not an Ekitike.
No.
So I don't know how you can compare the two. But the reason he's playing up top now is because we have no other choice. Really, do we?
Well, we've been playing Tyreek George. It's like you're comparing Tyreek George to bloody Hugo Ekitike because he's the one that's playing number 9. Naturally, João Pedro wants to
even really George
to drift.
He looks about the left as well, George, doesn't he? I see him play a lot in the conference off the left. He can do a job. We don't have a replacement for You look at what Ekitike and Isak. Ekitike just got sent off last night, right? He's handed the jersey to Isak. That's a ready-made replacement.
Yeah.
You're not... the level of what you're putting in is and that's great recruitment, by the way, fair play to them, but we don't quite have that replacement. And, I mean, Haaland, I don't think you compare anyone with Haaland.
No, you can't.
I do think those comparisons are, you need to stop at Haaland and Isak. The Ekitike one, if you ask this question just after the Brentford game where João Pedro got another assist, he's got 2 goals, 2 assists this season.
2 goals, 3 assists.
2 goals, 3 assists.
And Ekitike's got 3 goals and 1 assist.
I don't think that's very fair. I think João Pedro had a great start to the season. Yeah, Haaland and Isak, tell us something we don't know. Like, you're talking about the 2 best strikers in the world. But Ekitike, let's see. Because is he going to start all the time for Liverpool? Will Ekitike get as many goals as Liam Delap got last season for a Port Ipswich team? Let's see. We don't know. And so I think that's very kind of harsh to throw his name in there as well. I really like João Pedro. I like what he's brought to his team. And unfortunately for Delap, he's injured. But I'm not going to scream agenda. I'm not going to say what I actually want to say. But I just...
Kweku, say it.
No, I'm not saying
it.
But I just think it's their way of telling us that they don't think Chelsea's going to win the league. OK, cool. We understand that.
But I don't think any realistic Chelsea fan this season thought we were going to win the league. I mean, did you?
That beggars a different question, Liv. That brings a different question because off the back of winning the Club World Cup, off the back of winning the Conference League, which no one cares about, and off the back of finishing in the top 4, if we had the right summer, there is no reason why we shouldn't be at least challenging or.
I said we could challenge. I don't think
there's a difference. There's a difference between challenging and winning.
Yeah,
there is. But Arsenal. So Arsenal finished 5th in the 21-22 season. And then the very next season, they finished 2nd, and they should have won the league on 50 points after 19 games. That's challenging. I'm not saying that we should have done that. But so the jump from 5th to 2nd is bigger than the jump from 4th to 2nd or 4th to 3rd. That's where I wanted us to be. I think it's the summer that we've had is the reason why we're not.
I think the comparing Ekitike and João Pedro is a difficult one because they're not the same players. And also, I think, Liverpool have had the start they've had. They've won 5 out of 5 in the Premier League. That's why you're saying that Ekitike is this brilliant player. However, João Pedro's also been brilliant.
Well, how about we compare João Pedro to Wirtz?
Yeah, exactly. Let's do that.
I mean,
go on, Jamie Carragher. Let's do that.
That to me is a little bit more of a fair assessment.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
But, I don't want to start piling on Wirtz, but he's had a tricky start to life in the Premier League. But you're right, Liv. It's not fair. It's like comparing apples and oranges because where they play, where they want to play, unfortunately for Pedro now. And we need that extra striker. Liverpool's recruitment has been brilliant.
Yeah.
They've got 2 strikers. I like Ekitike, by the way.
Yes, so do I.
I think there's a lot to like. He is what they thought they were getting in
Darwin
Núñez. Yeah. He is the better version of that.
Absolutely. I do think that is absolutely the case. But does this whole thing come back to, like we say, and like you just said, Kweku, the recruitment is I was screaming out, and I know we all were screaming out at the start of the season saying, if we let Nicholas Jackson go, we could be in trouble here because we know that Enzo Maresca sees Nicholas Jackson and Liam Delap as his 2 number 9s. He did not count João Pedro as a striker option, even though at the Club World Cup I know he played him there and he was really good. He was really good because João Pedro just is really good. He's a very, very, very good player. But we have left ourselves so short. And I was saying we're one injury away in that area of the pitch of it being catastrophic. And we've lost Liam Delap for about 3 or 4 games now. And it feels like it's on the verge.
Yeah, it is on the verge. And João Pedro's just not a striker. Like, he can play there, he can be an option, but he's just not. And I think we are short in that position. And we're short in other positions as well.
But how are we? How are we in this position where we're short?
Do you want me to be honest about why we're in this position? Because I don't think we're trying to build a team to win the league. I don't think we're trying to build a team to win the league right now anyway. And I think there was a missed opportunity to go and do that. I think they are banking on these players growing and developing together, but there were multiple market opportunities where you could have gone and made a statement. And they didn't. And that's the model, right? And the model, we were all cheering the model when we were there in America, hugging each other on the top.
Pitch side, the final.
Won the Club World Cup. And we were all lauding the model and saying how well they've done. And football, it swings and roundabouts. But if you're looking at the teams that are challenging for the league. Arsenal signed two 27-year-olds. They have no resale value. They have no sell-on value. They're not going to sell Gyökeres or Eze for any money at all. They're just trying to win the league. We are not at the moment in terms of what we're trying to do. And we're capped, right? Because Cole Palmer, and this might just be speculation, Cole Palmer's our highest earning player, or there or thereabouts.
Him and Reece. Him and Reece.
Yeah,
him and Reece.
Out of the players that play, I know that Raheem Sterling's contract is, Sterling's on a ridiculous amount of money. But in terms of our new model, him and Reece are on there or thereabouts in terms of highest earners. You can't, in my opinion, bring in the Donnarumma, who we wanted to bring in as our goalkeeper, on more money than Cole Palmer, because Cole Palmer's our best player. And I think that when you've got a model like this, you cap yourselves. You can't go and take advantage of market opportunities. You can't go and bring in players who are world-class in their positions, like a Rodrigo or a Donnarumma, because they are being paid top level money. And I just don't think that we, at the moment, where we're at as a football club, can do that. And as a result of that, we're always going to be capped. We're not going to be able to challenge the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal because our model doesn't allow it.
Jace, do you agree with that? It feels like sometimes there should be exceptions to the model when you're signing a player that is ready-made with a group of kids that are largely very inexperienced.
We are buying potential. How many? No, we are. I mean, but that is the model. We're buying potential. Look at the age of these young players. Look at them. Early 20s. Tosin last season was our oldest player. We had the youngest squad ever in the Premier League. And I think that there has to be a caveat with that how do you expect this young group of players to go and win the title now? Now, what gets thrown at me a lot, and I'm guessing you guys experience it as well, but you spend billions. But the billions that we spent, it's not on, like you said there, Isak, who is Premier League ready.
Yeah.
These players they're hoping these players are going to grow together. And no one really knows if this project is going to really work. I think for another 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 years. But the football's about the here and the now. We've done well, by the way. We should have won the Conference League, and we did. No, we had to win it. If we hadn't, we'd have got battered. No one expected, I don't think we did, to expect to win the Club World Cup. Expect to go deep, but didn't expect to win it, right? I didn't even think that we were ready for 4th last year, but we got 4th. So you put that there, go, right, that actually, we're moving in the right direction, okay? Now you fast forward here. We're only 5 games in, guys. I know the disappointing result against Bayern Munich. I thought we played all right. Yeah, against Lincoln last night. Wow, don't see too many of those. Let's see where we are after 10 games. I think there's always that 10-game mark. Going into November, what do we look like? How are we shaping up? Defensively, we look a little bit fragile still. Delap missing is a big blow. But I think 10 to 12 games, I think then we might start to have a little bit of an idea about what we hope we might look like going into the new year.
Such a missed opportunity, though. I look at our team, and when fit, no better right back in the world than Reece James.
Yeah, agreed.
I think right now, when fit, no better left back in the Premier League than Mark Cucurella.
Oh, yeah, agreed.
There aren't many better wide players, by the way, than Neto, right? Neto's had a really good last 6 months.
Cole Palmer's one of the best players in the world. Moise Caicedo's position is one of the best in the world. So we've got 5 or 6 players that are best in class when available. And so you go and add a goalkeeper, you go and add a centre-back, and all of a sudden you do have a team that challenges. You do have a team that can challenge for things. And I think the P word, the project word in football is almost a swear word. I laugh at Arsenal fans when they tell me we're in phase 5. What does that mean? We were in phase 5 3 years ago because you finished second 3 years ago. You finished second last season. It's the same thing. Apart from last season, you were worse. And so I think there was an opportunity to go and attack it, to go and look at the vulnerabilities of other teams like a Man City. Go and look at Arsenal, who, they're good, but how many years in a row can you finish second before the message starts to kind of wear thin on the players? I think if you would have gone and made those transformative transfers, I think we would have been in of a chance of challenging, especially riding high off the back of winning the Club World Cup. I think right now we are firmly in a race to finish 4th.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Carragher has had his fair share to say about Chelsea over the last few months, and I've gone back and forth with Jamie Carragher on Twitter about it because I sometimes believe that it's not really true what he's saying. I'm not sure he even believes it. However, this time I've actually looked at what he said though, and he wouldn't even give us credit for beating Paris Saint-Germain in the Club World Cup final. Like, that was a performance that no one expected us to do. Yeah. No one expected us. He had us to finish 8th or something last season, and we finished in the top 4. But he's come out and said this: I think Maresca has done a brilliant job since coming in. My big problem with Chelsea is the money money that's been spent in the last 3.5 years, and you turn up at Old Trafford with that goalkeeper and those centre-backs that just can't win you the league. Now, I don't have a problem with that, Chase. Do you have a problem with what he said there?
Well, we were talking before. Kweku made the point. Yeah, I think we could have gone there and won, actually. Man United were a side we've seen there. Burnley rocked up there and nearly got a point.
Yeah, but winning the league, I think he's...
Winning the league is very, very different.
Yeah.
I agree with him. And this isn't a team that's built and ready to win the league yet. And that's what I said earlier about it gets thrown at me. You spent billions. We deserve results now. The money may... If you forget how much has been spent, it's always difficult. Look at the age of the squad. Look at what they're looking to do. They're looking for this young squad of players to grow with the manager at the same level, and hopefully in 2 to 3 years' time, this young squad of players will have enough experience in both the Champions League, internationally for their clubs, internationally for their countries, and also experience of what it's like to go and play together every single season in the Premier League. So I don't know whether we can. I don't know yet. I don't know what we're going to look like in 2 to 3 years' time.
Yeah.
These players have got to grow together. I mean, you look at what happened with Noni. They turned Noni around. That's good business. What they've paid, they nearly doubled their money on Nicola Jackson as well. So business-wise...
Now, we won't get that because he won't play that much.
Well, at the moment, that's what the deal, £15 million loan fee right now. So that's still... But we will see. But in terms of the business model, I think there is still holes in the squad. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But yes, the money we spent, we're not ready to win the title yet.
What happens if Rob Sanchez gets injured, Kweku?
Oh, I might have to go and go. Because like you look at,
I mean, it looked like you were in goal yesterday, to be honest.
You look at the performance from Jorgensen. I don't want to slate anybody.
I know it's hard.
Because they're doing what we can only dream of doing.
Yeah.
But I just had to laugh at some points yesterday. I had to just laugh because it's to the point where if Robert Sanchez, who we all agree maybe long time is not the number one choice for Chelsea in goal, is all of a sudden a player that cannot get injured because we're going to absolutely fall apart, then you know that we've not done good enough business in the summer. And we've not got the right goalkeepers for a little while now. And I know Mendy came in and had his little purple patch and helped us win a Champions League.
He was like the best goalkeeper in the world for randomly like 2 years.
Yeah,
and just left, and then
just
we
fell
never
off
saw
the
him
cliff.
again.
But I think we need to address that issue. We need to figure it out because you.
Well, January's coming. We will link the AC. I just wonder whether because he will walk on a free.
I was going to say, sorry, he hasn't signed a new contract, has he, Mannion?
So I wonder whether they've decided we will get ourselves through till January, then go back in again and see whether we can take him in January. That's.
Do you reckon we will though? I don't think we will.
Well, if we're after him in August, why wouldn't we be after him in January?
But I just think, why not just pay $5 million in August?
Yeah.
Or July, whenever it was, before the club.
I think they felt a little bit put out with one of the deals that went the other way.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. I think them and AC Milan don't see eye to eye.
I think if Rob Sanchez gets injured, we're in serious trouble. But then that just tells you where we're at, really. We need to figure out that position because we've all seen Chelsea win the league, right? And we've won the league with two of the best keepers this league has ever seen, with Petr Cech and with Thibaut Courtois. Without a world-class keeper, you can't win the league. I can't name the last team that's done that without a world-class keeper. So we need to go and fix it.
Yep.
Yeah, we do. Just quickly, in a word, before we just move on to the Ballon d'Or quickly, are we going to beat Brighton this weekend?
Yes. Yeah, we'll beat Brighton.
Sure?
Brighton will give us a little bit more space.
Kweku?
Oh.
Just.
He doesn't believe that. Yeah, no, he does. We're all going for a Chelsea win.
But
yeah.
the thing is, Brighton last season, like Cole Palmer scored 4 goals for us to beat them. So.
Yeah, true. 4 goals in the first half. I remember that game. Talking of Cole, he is the 8th best player in the world as the Ballon d'Or standings go. He becomes the first player to finish in the top 10 of the Ballon d'Or without Champions League football since Neymar. I think it was back in 2011.
Right, okay.
Can't remember if it was that long ago, but it was since Neymar.
Yeah, it was Santos.
Yeah, I think so. And very well deserving. I have an issue with the Ballon d'Or because everyone says, oh, how Cole Palmer's the top 8. But when you look at actually what he did on the football pitch, it's not just about how many trophies you win. It's not about how many goals you score. People saying, oh, he hasn't scored an open... Like, it's about what you do on the football pitch. And to me, Cole Palmer is the 8th best player in the world, and that's that.
Oh, you're right, the Ballon d'Or, what does it actually
I don't think it actually means that much anymore, to be honest. But he would walk into most teams in the world.
100%. You know, it was his involvement. The Club World Cup clearly is the stage where he's caught everyone on a bigger stage, right? I don't care what people say. It's a pre-season.
It's a world stage.
That was a big stage for him, especially. He won the player of the tournament. He won man of the match in the final. Scored 2 and set one up. right? That was at the biggest. You know, don't forget he scored in the European Championship final for England as well. So he steps up on the big occasions. I think you've got to look at what he had a dip, as we all did, by the way, after, going into Christmas, out of Christmas into Easter. But the boy's, he's a major talent, major talent, and congratulations to him, because to do it without Champions League football tells you a lot actually about how good he really is.
Yeah, he's a special player, and I think it's the feeling that he gives, right? And people moan about him being in the top 10, but who votes for the Ballon d'Or? Is it players?
I think it's
journalists.
I think it's journalists.
Journalists and
It's
managers as well, I think.
It's the people that watch them.
Yeah,
because otherwise it's just like, I think it's just like, if the players, it's just been voting for their mates, wouldn't they? Like, it's like when Messi and Ronaldo don't vote for each other. And it's like, well, what? But you two are the best players in the world, clearly, so how are you not in the top 3? Do you know what I mean?
So it's just like people acting as if it's Chelsea fans voting to put Cole Palmer in the top 10, but it's people who watch football, and when you watch Cole Palmer, he's one of these players that you can't deny it. When you watch him play, it puts a smile on your face. He plays with that languid style, he plays at his own pace, and in the big games like Jay's touched on, he shows up. Bayern Munich beat us soundly, right? But who scored our goal? Cole Palmer.
And what a goal it was, by the way.
I know it's just a Conference League, but in that final, who turned up? Cole Palmer. In the Euros for England, who turned up? Cole Palmer.
And
in the Club World Cup, who turned up? Cole Palmer. So he's just one of these players that is transformative. There's the Chelsea, especially under Clear Lake, pre-Cole Palmer and post-Cole Palmer. My goodness, if that transfer didn't happen, where we'd be as a football club, and that's why I talk about this project thing being a myth. I think players can come and change the face of a football club. With Liverpool in this modern era, the Liverpool pre-Mo Salah and Liverpool post-Mo Salah. There are two very different things. Sometimes the man comes in, like an Eric Cantona in the early 90s of Man United. Sometimes the man comes in and changes the face of your football club. When we were off the back of being that dominant side with Terry, with Lampard, with Drogba, Eden Hazard came in 2012 and saved us for about 8 years. And that's what Cole Palmer's doing for us right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So effortless watching Cole Palmer play football. And like we say, sometimes Cole Palmer's worst is other players' best, and that is why he finished 8th in the Ballon d'Or. And I just want to say an absolute huge shout out to Hannah Hampton. She won the inaugural Lev Yashin Trophy, which, by the way, I think now that there's a women's trophy, it needs to be a women's goalkeeper that it's named after. But she won that with Gianluigi Donnarumma at the 2025 Ballon d'Or. She was voted the best goalkeeper in the world. What a season she's had. She's spoken about, she's not like blind, but she's got like issues with her eyes, and she spoke about that. She was absolutely vital for England when they won the Euros in the summer, arguably the most important player. Chelsea won the domestic treble. She was key to that. So Hannah Hampton, and her personality is unreal as well. She's a great laugh, great to work with as well. So congratulations to Hannah Hampton, who won the best goalkeeper at the Ballon d'Or.
What's she doing Saturday?
Yeah. Rob Sanchez is back, guys. Rob
Sanchez is back on Saturday. Yeah, and that, luckily, by the way, that we had that Lincoln game in between, so he can return. So just that one game suspension.
And he is back to play against his former club in Brighton. So I wonder how that's going to go. That is it for another episode of Inside Chelsea. Thank you very much for your company, and of course, thank you to Jason, and thank you to Kweku. We will see you next time. Up the Chelsea.